When wildfires flare up and begin to spread, fighting them is a race against the clock to protect property and lives. In many ways, this kind of firefighting can be compared to fighting a war. First, there are frontline strategists like wildfire meteorologist Brenda Belongie, who predict when conditions will be ripe for fires.
There's three weather things that affect fire weather as the core. One is temperature-moisture relationships, which has a lot to do with humidity. The second thing that affects fire weather at its core is atmospheric stability. So that is basically how well ventilated is the atmosphere above your fire. How tall is that fire column going to get? And the flip side of that is, do you have the right conditions for thunderstorms? Do you have enough instability for thunderstorms? So of course thunderstorms start new fires. And last but not least is wind. That's the third element of fire weather, and that's because wind has a great deal to do with the rate and direction of spread of the fire itself.
When conditions are right and a wildfire initiates, the battle is on, and it's time to send out the troops. At the start, guys like lead pilot Dan Johnson guide the operations from the air.
My primary job at first is to find hazards, to discover entry and exit routes. I'm trying to make it as safe and boring as possible, actually.
And to get that job done, technology plays an important part for crew safety and aerial recon to confirm effectiveness of the crew's efforts.
What this FLIR system does for me as a lead plane pilot, it takes a lot of risk out of my life. This device can give more pinpoint accurate information without me having to go down there and do it. With the infrared capability and the heat sources they can track, they can see if our retardant is inside or outside the line. They can see if the fire is trying to burn through the retardant line, where I can come back and reinforce it or bring in some direct attack, or we can direct the kids to where the spot is that needs to be worked.
And even with all the support from the air, it's the men and women on the ground that get the real work done. And before the ground troops get to the tough and dangerous job of actually fighting the fires, they all go through exhaustive training. And for the smoke jumpers, that happens in Redding, California. Chris Nicolai helps run the operation to keep these firefighters at peak readiness.
So there's a large tower to practice exiting the aircraft. Each jumper carries 150 feet of letdown in case they did get stuck in a tree, they can get to the ground safely. There's a parachute landing fall simulator, so it takes the jumper up in the air and then brings them down at a rate that would be similar to what the canopy would be letting you down at.
And once their training on the ground is complete, they fly out to get their practice jumps in before their real work begins. Jumping from 1,500 feet, it's a static line opening and a quick descent to the ground. Depending on a fire's location, firefighters may jump, walk, or drive into the site. Dan Malia runs the Redding Hot Shots, one of the groups that drives their buggies to the fires and stays on the site until the job is finally done.
The crew will run through with our saws will go through first. They'll remove all the brush and trees. They'll come through using a myriad of different hand tools. They'll get the ground down to mineral soil. We're taking the fuel out of the fire's way.
So the next time you hear about a wildfire, think about the people who are risking their lives and doing some of the hardest work imaginable to fight one of nature's most dangerous furies. For WeatherNation, I'm John Van Pelt.